I know it's hard, I know it's complicated, but I promised you I've been waiting here forever. I had a much to say, but you're not hear me. No, we're invincible, like fire in the snow. Trust me when I say you are my beautiful world, and I'm feeling it all. We should make an effort. It's true you're so far away, and it's true you don't feel the same. But if you take my hand, we can try and go back. Start it from scratch. I won't let you go. No, I can't let you go. 'Cause you're my gravity, and I will never leave. I won't let you go. No, baby, I will not. Because I still believe. You're my gravity. You will never be what I expected. Different frequencies, that's why we ain't connected. You know I will make it through. I got nothing to lose but you. It's true you're so far away, and it's true I can feel the same. It's another day, you know you want me to stay, but I go my way. I won't let you go. No, I can't let you go. 'Cause you're my gravity, and I will never leave. I won't let you go. No, baby, I will not. Because I still believe. You're my gravity. You're my gravity. You're calling out my name, but the echo numbs your pain. Sorry, but more than just a shadow, I'm more than just a man. You don't care how I feel, you don't know how I feel. No, you don't know how. I wash away the sorrow till my heart can beat again. You're my gravity. No, you're my gravity. I will let you go. The only thing that I know, you were my gravity, but now I have to leave. I will let you go. What do you think that I want? What do you think that I want? I know how to breathe into my gravity. 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 I know it's hard, I know it's complicated, but I promised you I've been waiting here forever. I had a much to say, but you're not hear me. No, we're invincible, like fire in the snow. Trust me when I say you are my beautiful world, and I'm feeling it all. We should make an effort. It's true you're so far away, and it's true you don't feel the same. But if you take my hand, we can try and go back. Start it from scratch. I won't let you go. No, I can't let you go. 'Cause you're my gravity, and I will never leave. I won't let you go. No, baby, I will not.
Warning: the Duracell Cup Series data file you have attempted to access is out of date. Uploading current file now.
It's a brand new car from stem to stern, and it's never been raced at these speeds.
The next gen car is opportunity.
Everything is different with the exception of like the seat, the steering wheel, and your helmet.
Unknown creates excitement.
Talking about my generation.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome here as we have finally reached the end of the regular season for Season 2 of the NNSCRA Duracell Ultra Lite Series. That's right, at the conclusion of today's race, we will know who the 10 drivers will be that will battle in this season's chase for the championship, the first time that the playoff format has been implemented here in Lite's competition. We already have a couple of drivers that we know are going to be going playoff racing no matter what, but we still have to determine the drivers that will get those final spots through the top 7 in the point standings, and of course those 3 crucial drivers that will get in through the wild card spot. The field is still wide open in those battles, and if you want a little bit of a comprehensive idea of who's got a shot and who doesn't, you can tune into yesterday's poll day qualifying session where we pretty much went down through all the drivers and their scenarios to be able to make it into the postseason. This is one of few tracks that are on this Season 2 schedule that we actually did run back in Season 1, and the defending winner of this race is actually in the field, a driver that comes into this race in the final wild card position in Skylar Taylor. Taylor winning earlier on this season in the opener at Daytona, so has some prior experience at this racetrack, as would other drivers that ran full-time last season. Kyle Langland would be a driver that ran full-time last season, Roberto Crown Jr., so they've got a little bit of a notebook to be able to look back on in their previous start at this venue. You can also add Nathan Stapleton into that conversation and David Dixon. We'll see if those will be the drivers that we'll see up at the front late here in this one. 20th race of the season. Gonna be a wild one. We'll obviously do our best here during the course of this race to kind of look at the drivers that are up towards the front, what their scenarios look like. Right now, though, as we mentioned, there are a couple of drivers that we do know are going to advance into the postseason no matter what, and that's your 2 multi-time winners on the season. Cam Wright Jr. right out of the gate found victory lane at North Wilkesboro. He followed it up with a win at Darlington. That, for the most part, solidified himself a spot in the playoffs, since up to that point nobody else had gone to victory lane multiple times. It was all one-time winners. So even if Cam Wright Jr. fell out of the top 7 in points, he was going to get in through a high-seeded wildcard spot. Last week we ended up, well, 2 weeks ago I should say, last time we saw these Lights drivers, Roberto Crown Jr. picked up his second win on the season at Hanford Speedway. Being a multi-time winner himself, he is also locked into the playoffs. However, something else that we haven't determined yet that we will find out at the conclusion of this race is who is going to be the regular season champion. Both Roberto Crown Jr. and Cam Wright Jr. very much in that fight, along with Colin Grace. Roberto Crown Jr., the points leader, 19 points back to Cam Wright Jr., and Colin Grace 21 points back. Those are the only 3 drivers mathematically with the 30 card field we have here tonight that have a shot of winning the regular season championship, and this is something we have stressed all regular season long. 15 bonus points are paid out to the regular season champion for the first round of the playoffs. It's not a guarantee, but the probability is very, very high with those 15 bonus points added onto their total that the regular season champion will at least move on from the first round of the playoffs. And there's some tough tracks there in that first round as well, with Road America, Nashville Superspeedway, and Dover. So you get those that nice little nest egg of 15 bonus points. That can be a game changer. In this race here tonight, it's going to be an all-blue oval front row. Couple of drivers that could still make their way into a postseason berth. Kyle Langland, he is the highest driver in the point standings without a victory. 4th in overall standings. Finishes well here tonight. He's going to be going playoff racing, pointed his way in the top 7. But hey, if Langland goes to victory lane, not only does that solidify him a spot in the playoffs, but that's 5 bonus points that he would carry into the postseason. So don't think this 26 is only looking for consistency. They're going to try and find that checkered flag. And Chris Dollerton, must-win situation for him, and a lot of things need to fall his way. 22nd in the point standings. Right now, I believe there are a total of 8 winners in front of him. He would need to not only win, but have a lot of those former winners struggle here this evening to be able to snipe a wild card position. I believe mathematically he cannot point his way up into the top 7. So for Dollerton, it's a must-win situation here tonight, but even a checkered flag does not guarantee he would go playoff racing. We'll have to wait and see. A lot would have to fall his way, and we've seen stranger things happen here on both the lights and the Cup side. That race tomorrow afternoon is going to be wild on the Cup side as they're looking to put their playoff grid together as well. Well, let's go down trackside. Let's get those famous words in motorsports. We got 60 laps in front of us. We're ready to put a playoff field together. Let's head down trackside now and get this thing going.
Is this on? Drivers, start your engines.
Right side of your screen, you'll see your 30-car starting lineup for tonight's race here under the lights from Auto Club. A little bit of a precursor, I guess, to what we will be seeing in the overall season finale, as we'll be at the sister 2-mile racetrack with the championship hanging in the balance at Michigan. Right now, your playoff grid would look like this if the regular season had concluded 2 weeks ago at Hanford. Roberta Crown Jr., 2-time winner, points leader. Cam Wright Jr., 2-time winner in 2nd. Colin Grace in 3rd. Pole sitter Kyle Langland 4th. Eli Bright right now in 5th. Jordan Anderson 6th. And Autumn Brooks right now would be in the final points-paying playoff position in 7th. Aubrey Powell with a victory 8th overall in points would have the first wild card spot. Cody Majoric, former winner, 9th overall in points, would have the second wild card spot. And Skylar Taylor, the defending winner from this race 1 season ago, is 10th in points with a victory, final wild card spot. David Dixon, Michael Turner, Juan Garcia, Wes McCoy, they are 12th through 15th in the standings. Nathan Stapleton 17th. Dave Smith 20th, Cole Coybe 21st, Nathan Fogler 23rd, and Craig Batson 26th. If any of those drivers go to victory lane, that'd be their second win in the season, and they would leapfrog all the other one-time winners to a high-seeded wild card spot. We'll talk about some of the other drivers that could point their way into the top 7 as we get ready to go racing here at Auto Club. Green flag is in the air. Kyle Langland, Eli Bright, the drivers I listed off there in the top 7 in the standings, are the only drivers up there that do not have a victory so far here in Season 2. As they make their way down the back straightaway, Dave Smith has moved into 2nd behind Langland. Nathan Fogler, Aubrey Powell, I believe that is Wes McCoy down in the bottom, 3 wide for 3rd place. Out of turn 4, very valuable lap-led bonus point for driver number 26 as Langland will lead them back to the stripe. Dave Smith following behind in 2nd. Powell and Fogler side by side for 3rd place now as Dave Smith drives to the inside of Langland for the race lead. Is he clear off of 2? He might be. Langland trying to stay to his right rear quarter panel. And as those two side draft each other down the back straightaway, that could bring Powell, Fogler, Chris Dollerton, Cody Majorek into this conversation. Look at the run there on the top there by Kyle Langland. Tries to edge back ahead off of 4. And he is clear to go back to the point. Dave Smith gave it a run there through 1 and 2. Couldn't clear up though. That was the problem for him. And then that outside line got the advantage in 3 and 4. Aubrey Powell right now in the first wild card position. 8th in the standings. Could easily point her way up into the top 7. With a good run here. Would not have to rely on a wild card position. Cody Majorek just up ahead of her, trying to take that second spot from Dave Smith. In the second wild card spot, also mathematically could point his way up into the top 7. And Dave Smith, big run here on the front straightaway. Can he get the race lead now? He'll have the inside line advantage into 1. Won't even need that. He's already clear to the point. Dave Smith coming into this race 20th in points, a former winner this season at Lucas Oil Raceway. Must-win scenario for driver 15. He would then leapfrog to the number 1 wild card seed if he can close out the deal. Other drivers as well in must-win situations here to get one of the high-seeded wild card spots would include Nathan Fogler and Craig Batson. Nathan Stapleton is borderline on that. I would say he's borderline must-win. But honestly, he is currently behind, or I'm sorry, correction. He is behind a bunch of other one-time winners in David Dixon, Michael Turner, Juan Garcia, and Wes McCoy. So I believe that he would need to win. I don't know if he'd be able to garner enough points, even with a second-place run, to get ahead of any of those one-time winners. Here comes Cody Majorek with a big run into 3, looking to get to the left rear quarter panel of the Papa Dave's Chevrolet. Majorek, former winner at Iowa Speedway. And we haven't run a whole lot of massively long ovals here on the light side. Daytona 2.5 miles, Pocono 2.5 miles. And then other than that, we've had some 1.5 miles with Las Vegas and Charlotte and Texas and Kentucky, Homestead. This is only really the 3rd large speedway that we've run at this season, and none of the other previous 2 are anything close to this. Pocono, those 3 unique corners, and Daytona, of course, flat out that relies a lot more on draft than it does on momentum, which is what Auto Club and Michigan are really known for. They are momentum tracks. You lose momentum, you'll lose positions. You gain momentum, you will work your way through the field to the front. Juan Garcia, 14th in points, mathematically could point his way up into a playoff position. Remember, everybody right now that has a win, they are chasing Skylar Taylor, who is in the final wild card spot. Right now, the gap between Garcia and Taylor, 22 points. Couple of drivers at the back of the pack. You kind of look back there and you can see that bright yellow and blue, number 18 of Roberto Crown Jr. He's currently scored in 28th. Coming in the points leader, trying to close out the regular season championship. The drivers battling him, Cam Wright Jr. last time by the 95 was scored in 14th. And Colin Grayson, the 27, is the highest of the 3 mathematically in the hunt for the regular season championship. Last time by was scored in 7th place. There is the 27, up on the outside of Craig Batson. Gets a nice run there through 3 and 4, and actually will pull up alongside of Dave Smith for 6th position. Another driver I see kind of riding back there is Autumn Brooks, who came into this race in that critical 7th position in points. Now, Autumn Brooks is a former winner from a couple of weeks ago at Watkins Glen, so she doesn't have to finish in the top 7 in points. She could, if she fell out, still be in the conversation for one of the 3 wild card positions, but with With how many one-time winners we have here on the season, I don't know if you really want to rely on a scenario like that. And then for Kyle Langland and Eli Bright, as I mentioned, two drivers that are inside the top 7 in points that are yet to go to victory lane. They're kind of playing with house money here tonight because they've obviously been consistent this season, and if they remain consistent, they point their way in. But hey, big opportunity here to maybe be able to get yourself a last-minute win and carry an extra 5 bonus points into the reformatted standings. I mean, right now as things are currently looking, once the point stands are reformatted, the 26 and the 20 would be in the 9th and 10th positions, since they wouldn't have 5 bonus points in the playoff standings. Saw the 70 get a little loose there through the center of 3 and 4. Look at the momentum he lost. Wes McCoy got around his outside. Craig Batson does the same. He's in the middle 3 wide now, as Juan Garcia, I believe, led that lap. A valuable bonus point for a driver fighting for at least a wild card spot. Wes McCoy now going to move on by him in the 8. McCoy coming into this race pretty much the last driver that could point their way into a wild card spot, as we've got trouble in the back. Couple of cars, actually several cars there on the back straightaway, wrecking off of turn 2. Caution is going to fly, and this could be a playoff changing caution dependent on who was involved. There are not many drivers making their way back here in this lead group to the start-finish line. We may be starting to check off a list of names of drivers who will not be advancing into the postseason, depending on who was involved in that wreck and how much damage they sustained. Lap 11 is when this first caution is going to fly. And Wes McCoy going to lead us here under this first yellow, as it was off of turn 2 here, maybe a third of the way down the back straightaway. There you see the skid marks. There are at least 3 pair of skid marks I see there, including a set that went down towards the apron, that runoff here at the bottom of the back straightaway. We're going to stay here on the leaders just for a moment because pit road is open, and I believe we'll probably see everybody coming to pit road. A couple of drivers I know were definitely involved in this incident: Reggie Fogelman, Ralph Mason. Big reason why I know that: Mason crossed the line much later than everybody else, and Reggie Fogelman has actually come down pit road and taken his car to the garage area. One of our Cup Series drivers in the field here tonight, and we will see him tomorrow as well on the Cup side as he looks to solidify himself a spot in the playoffs in that series. Here you see the 66 of Mason on pit road. Was looking back towards the tail end of the field as his drivers were making their way onto the pit lane, and I saw quite a bit of damage on the 93 of Jackson Haywood. He was one of the drivers that had not won yet this season that mathematically could point his way up into the top 7, and that was a lot of front end damage I saw on his Dark Horse Mustang, so I would be very surprised if that car is going to be up to speed for the remainder of this thing, as Wes McCoy will win the battle off of pit road. So with that being said, let's see if we could take a look at what happened to bring out this yellow. Another driver that might have been involved, the 95 of Cam Wright Jr. And if that is the case, then Cam Wright Jr. may have just taken himself out of the running for the regular season championship. He'll still, as we said, advance into the playoffs, but he would not have those extra valuable 15 bonus points. Let's see if we can find out exactly how this started. I know the 89 of Jordan Anderson was collected up in this. Focus on him, as I think we were 4 wide. Chris Dollerton got spun around. Daniel Voiles. Oh gosh, Ralph Mason went up and over. Kick flipped off of somebody there. Autumn Brooks might have gotten some right front damage. Dylan Young. Nathan Stapleton's back there. David Dixon as well. Some of these drivers might have just slowed and were trying to avoid the incident, so we don't know for certain if those drivers got damage or not. Not the best of camera angles here down the back straightaway. Let's go to our chopper cam. Oh, I think we might have actually been 5 wide here coming off of turn 2. That could have been a big reason why there was contact made. Yeah, they're bouncing off of each other there. Powell, Voiles. Dallerton tries to come up. He's not clear on the 71. Cap Batson got a piece. Fogelman was the one that gave the shot to Mason that flipped him over. Dylan Young there in the 16. Nathan Stapleton in the 97. And then you're probably wondering what happened to Jackson Haywood and Cam Wright Jr. Why did they have damage if they didn't really get involved in that incident? Well, as we were coming around on the back straightaway, picking up the pace car, here is a look off of turn 2 as everybody starts slowing up. They unfortunately start stacking up here. Autumn Brooks running to the back of Eli Bright, and then right there, Cam Wright Jr. gets into the back of the 20. Jordan Anderson into the back of him. And I believe the 93 is back behind this. I think he gets into the back of either Dylan Young or David Dixon, and his hood gets pushed up. So caution out. We'll get ready for a restart here in just a moment. Right now, list of drivers out of the race. Ralph Mason and Reggie Fogelman out due to the wreck that brought out the yellow, and the 60 of Autumn Brooks has actually come down pit road, and she is out of the race. So that is not going to be ideal for Brooks, who came in that critical 7th position in the standings. She's going to have to hope that a number of other drivers with wins behind her have issues here in this one for her to be able to advance through a wild card spot. I think the scenario of getting in through top 7 in points, I believe that is now off the table. So Aubrey Powell, Cody Majorek, Skylar Taylor, opportunity for those drivers to point their way up into the top 7. With Brooks out of the race, that now opens up the door for David Dixon, Michael Turner, Juan Garcia, Wes McCoy to maybe point their way up into a wild card spot. Let's see what the gap from Brooks back to some of those drivers would have been. Looks like 25 points back to David Dixon, 28 back to Michael Turner. So those would be the 2 drivers she would have to worry about. With 30 drivers in the field, I'm not sure Juan Garcia or Wes McCoy could knock Autumn Brooks out of a wild card spot. And of course for Brooks, if some other drivers like Powell, like Majorek, like Skylar Taylor finish outside of the top 20 in this race, that could give her a little bit of a cushion. So the 45 and the 02, I think, are going to be the 2 drivers specifically that Autumn Brooks is going to have to worry about here that could snipe a playoff position via wildcard spot away from her. Turner will restart in 11th. David Dixon will restart back in 19th. Green flag back in the air. Lap 15 complete. Lap 16 on the board. Wes McCoy gets us back underway. 27 drivers out here and on the lead lap, with Brooks, Fogelman, Mason out of the race. Kyle Langland going to look to the inside of Craig Batson in the 91. Craig Batson started out the season at Pocono, missed the first 3 races here of season 2. However, found victory lane very early on in his career at the Texas Motor Speedway. So he, with a second victory, could, despite not running the previous 19 races, only 16 starts coming into this one, he could get himself into a high-seeded wildcard spot as he's going to go for the race lead here on Wes McCoy. Can he get the run he needs into turn 1? Everybody, remember, was on pit road. Fresh tires, a lot of added grip here with the field all under a blanket. Not able to clear off of 2, and now Wes McCoy will have the advantage down the back straightaway and into turn 3 on that outside line. Juan Garcia follows in his tire tracks to second place. Mentioned Reggie Fogelman out of the race, one of multiple drivers taking part here in this Cup Series race, or in this Lite Series race tonight, I should say, in preparation for tomorrow afternoon's Cup Series event. Daniel Voiles, Jack Mitchell, we saw Dylan Young as well, all taking part here, trying to get that added track time, as a number of those drivers are currently in playoff clinching scenarios heading into tomorrow afternoon's regular season race. Doubleheader here for the Lites and the Cup Series drivers. Mention about Skylar Taylor pre-race, the only driver that has taken a checkered flag here at this racetrack here in the Lite Series last season. We documented this yesterday as well, that it would be interesting to see how Skylar Taylor does. He's got the playbook, he knows how to win here. However, completely different animal with these Xfinity cars here in Season 2 as opposed to the Gen 6 cars that we ran last season in the inaugural Season 1. But it looks like Skylar Taylor and that Costco Mazda looking pretty good right now, trying to battle for the 5th position with Daniel Voiles. And of course, as we mentioned, for Taylor, Majorek, Aubrey Powell, big opportunity here with the DNF from Autumn Brooks to point their way up into the top 7. Right now, Taylor is in 6th, Majorek is in 7th, and Powell is in 12th. Cole Koibe in the 38, just ahead of the 29. Last time I scored in 4th position. Driver out of Haas Racing, a team that has seen all 4 of its drivers now go to victory lane. Koibe with the win at Manassas, Aubrey Powell at Pocono, Colin Grace at Hillside, and then Wes McCoy completed the set with his win at Kentucky. Right now, only 2 of those drivers would currently be in line for playoff positions. Koibe and McCoy. Well, Wes McCoy still could potentially point his way up into a wild card spot, but for Cole Koibe, it is a must-win scenario. 21st in points. He needs a second win to get into a high-seeded wild card position. Here comes Juan Garcia looking low on Wes McCoy. Juan Garcia, one of a couple of the Trackhouse cars that have gone to victory lane this season. Eli Bright, I believe, is the only regular that has yet to go to victory lane, as Roberto Crown Jr. with 2 victories, Juan Garcia with 1 win. That was back at the Charlotte Motor Speedway, as we're going to go 3 wide for the lead. Garcia, almost contact. Here comes Craig Batson, 4 wide off of turn 2. Which lane's going to get the advantage down the back straightaway? Looks like it's now going to be McCoy versus Garcia, as Batson had to back out and Taylor didn't have the draft to stay alongside the 19. That got spicy for a moment there, and that was all a byproduct of the side drafting of Garcia and Wes McCoy, as McCoy will actually edge out ahead once again of now a 3 wide for the runner-up spot, maybe 4 wide there. Nope, Koibe's going to back out. Taylor back to the inside of Garcia. Batson tries to battle back as well. You got Sean Galligan and Mike Tellier making some moves on that inside line further back inside of the top 10. One thing that we did not have on that first run that we may have here if we continue to trend green will be traffic. This is a hugely aerodynamic dependent racetrack, and we saw a number of drivers get bits and pieces of that wreck off of 2 down the back straightaway, as well as some that were involved in that stack up under pacing. Let's drop back here and see who some of those drivers would include. There's Jackson Haywood in the 93, Jordan Anderson, who came into this race 6th in points, right now in 26th. So both Anderson and Brooks not in a good spot. The problem right now, well, no, actually, nope, never mind. I was going to say I didn't think Anderson had a win on the season, and I was remiss in that. Anderson did win at I-69 Speedway, so right now for Anderson and Brooks, they are hoping and praying that their wins would give them an opportunity at a wild card spot. Cam Wright Jr. We already mentioned he is going to advance in the playoffs, but he will not be fighting for the regular season championship as he's back here with damage. Jackson Haywood, this effectively takes him out of the playoffs now. Chris Dollerton started on the outside of the front row, but he's off the pace, so that's his playoff hopes done and dusted. Daniel Voiles is a Cup Series driver, is not running for the Light Series championship, though the 23 and 23rds is not the run he was looking for, certainly not the momentum he was looking for heading into the Cup race here tomorrow afternoon. And David Dixon right now, 12th in the standings, one of those drivers that was looking to take advantage of both Autumn Brooks and Jordan Anderson's struggles here in the early going. Right now he is the last car running in this pack in 22nd. He's got to make a lot more forward progress than this if he is going to capitalize on the misfortune of a couple of those borderline drivers. Eli Bright currently in the 21st position. He was 5th in points coming into this race. So right now, 5th, 6th, 7th in the standings coming into this race. None of those drivers are currently being scored up inside of the top 20. And of course, as we documented, one of them is currently out of the race. So there's still a chance. Amazing as it may seem, there is still a chance that a driver that DNFs here in this regular season finale could get in through a wild card spot. But with Wes McCoy out in front, Juan Garcia right now in second, Craig Batson, Skylar Taylor, some other former winners up here that were outside of a playoff position coming into this race, the opportunity for a multi-time winner to last minute themselves into a wild card berth is a high probability right now with who we currently have at the front of the field. Sean Galligan in the 62. I believe he is right now the only Garage 55 car that is in this race still, with Brooks and Mason out behind the wall. He's up here fighting in the 3rd position. Now, for Sean Galligan, I believe that he is already eliminated from advancing into the playoffs. Even if he were to win, he would not be able to point his way ahead of drivers like Turner, Dixon, Taylor, Majoric, and Powell mathematically. So for Sean Galligan now, while there's obviously the disappointment that he will not be battling for a championship, that does give him a little bit of carte blanche to be able to be super aggressive here tonight in this regular season finale and at least find himself a trip to victory lane before Season 2 comes to a close. Same deal for the 17 of Mike Tellier, also too far down the point standings without a victory. So he's just looking for a race win. Some other drivers as well that they're just too far down the points and they don't have a checkered flag to be able to lean on in terms of maybe being a multi-time winner on this season. Would include Brody Kupski. And I believe that Ralph Mason would have been in that conversation as well, should he have still been out here on the racetrack. Jury's out on the 39 of Cat Batson, especially with what we've had here with the DNF for Autumn Brooks, Jordan Anderson running off the pace. It's a must-win. We know that much for the 39, but the question is, it's hard to kind of figure out the mathematics for Kat if she were to win, if she would be able to garner enough points for a wild card spot. Again, we are able to kind of project where a driver could be if they win. What we cannot project is where the other drivers will be in relation to their finishing positions, whether they would get bypassed or not. We do not have a full 42-car field here tonight like we will have tomorrow afternoon on the Cup side. There are only 30 drivers, and only, I believe, 26 of them are running for Light Series points. So there's not nearly as many points on the table here in this one as there would be in a regular Cup Series race. That being said, it makes the scenarios a little bit different in terms of the amount of points you can gain, and on the flip side, the amount of points that you can lose. Well, Skylar Taylor, we hyped up the fact that he is the only driver that has formerly won here at Auto Club in the Light Series, and he just moments ago got around Wes McCoy for the race lead, crossing the halfway point. Interesting thing we should talk about here is we don't know exactly what the fuel window is for these drivers. Remember, they went back green, I believe it was on the completion of lap 12 to lap 13. Well, actually, no, that wouldn't make sense because the caution came out on lap 11. So, actually, I think it was 14 on to 15 when they went back green. So, if they cannot make it the rest of the way on fuel, how far do they go? And this will be something that we'll squirrel away in preparation for tomorrow afternoon's Cup Series race as well. Everybody came down pit road under our only caution, so they can extend it about 10 laps further than they would have if we'd been green from the start of this thing. We'll have to see if indeed that was a caution that happened right in the window, allowing them to make it the rest of the way, or if they will have to pit before all is said and done. And we've got a pack of cars up here from the race leader back to 22nd. One thing that we know at tracks like Auto Club and Michigan, you can go back to last year's Cup Series finale. The field will get broken up into little packs, and it all depends on which pack you are in, what kind of speed are they producing, whether or not you're going to be able to get up here in the conversation for a race victory or for at least a decent enough points night to put you into the postseason. As Wes McCoy, not going to go away quietly, stays to that left rear of Skylar Taylor. Mike Tellier going to fan out 3 wide. He'll drive it in deep. McCoy had to back out. And Mike Tellier lifting there as well. A couple of cars on pit road. Jordan Anderson and Cam Wright Jr. I believe they may have just been coming down pit road here, realizing that the leaders were approaching, and they wanted to get out of the way. Going to be some traffic up ahead momentarily in the form of Chris Dollerton and Daniel Voiles, as well as, I believe, the 93 of Jackson Haywood. But maybe those drivers did have to pit. We'll have to see. Do we see some drivers maybe dive to pit road here? If they pit now, I think we're going to have to pit at least one more time before the conclusion of this race. I don't know. I don't see any of our leaders coming to pit lane here. Looking back through the field, see if anybody's entering pit road. Yeah, David Dixon. Was that Eli Bright as well? A couple of drivers at the tail end of this lead pack coming to pit road. Bright trying to point his way in. Dixon trying to point his way into a wild card spot. So that means that these drivers are coming to pit road, at least some of these early birds, coming to pit road about 20 laps into this run, which would put us about 4 to 5 laps short of making it to the end, if indeed 20 laps is the furthest they can go. Taylor, I believe, is coming to pit road this time, trying to tuck down in front of Craig Batson. Wes McCoy will stay out. Cat Batson does as well. Bunch of drivers on pit road. Most of your lead group all coming to pit road right here. And that is exactly 20 laps into this run. So my calculations say if 20 laps is the furthest you can go, we cannot make it. Everybody's going to be at the least 3 laps short. Which means this is not necessarily the money stop, but this will certainly set up where you're going to be in terms of track position for that money stop, as Wes McCoy catches some of this traffic here. A little inopportune time, especially having to, you saw bail out of the throttle in the entrance to 3. You saw the flames coming out of the tailpipes. He's coming to pit road, though, as is Cat Batson. So who wins the battle off pit road of the leaders? Looks like Skylar Taylor going to lead them off. And look how close he's going to be to this traffic here as well. Once he gets up to speed, he'll probably encounter that group of 4 within, I would say, anywhere from 5 to 10 laps. Craig Batson's going to come off pit road in second with Mike Tellier, Sean Galligan, Colin Grace. And it looks like that was Nathan Stapleton right behind Grace in 6th. Now, let's see where these drivers all cycle around in relation to the 8 of Wes McCoy, who elected to stay out the extra lap. Did catch the tail end of that traffic, which may have halted his in-lap. Will he still cycle up inside of the top 5 and be able to find some drafting help here is the question. There's the 8. He's not going to cycle into the lead. Looks like he's going to get bypassed at least for second. Maybe third. He might slide into 4th place behind Mike Tellier. Cat Batson's going to be back here around the 5th position in this group with Stapleton, Galligan, Grace, and Mitchell. Look at Nathan Stapleton shoot up the middle there in the 97. And now it all comes down to finding a group to work with. The top 4 are all spaced out and single file. They are going to get eaten up in a hurry. Wes McCoy is going to be the first driver swallowed up by that group of 5. Then Tellier, then Batson, and then the race leader Skylar Taylor. And one slight problem for those 4 drivers that are spaced out is they're getting clean air to the nose and they're not getting any draft, which means they are using up more fuel here at the beginning of this run. So if anybody, which I don't think that there's a scenario of anybody being able to make it to the checkered flag on what they've got in the tank, but this just even more so makes that window shorter where Taylor and Batson and Tellier and McCoy will absolutely not be able to make it on fuel. Will have to come to pit road at least one more time. Now this is an interesting pack here that Taylor is behind. They're damaged, they're off the pace, but he was able to get a nice tow off of Jackson Haywood. And I don't think that this group is going to be enough for Taylor to keep himself ahead of that second group when they catch him. But if he can get by all of these drivers, that's a 4-car wall that he'll be able to put between himself and the rest of the field. And if they have a little bit of trouble getting around some of these guys, it might allow Skylar Taylor the luxury of holding off any momentum that second group would have and being able to maintain this race lead. Second place is under contest side by side. That's going to hurt these guys, Tellier and Craig Batson. That's going to bring that 4th place group on back to their bumpers very quickly. Wes McCoy has now been reeled in and is leading that pack of drivers. Cody Majorek and Juan Garcia have caught up to this pack, and then behind them, Dylan Young, Brody Kupski, David Dixon, and Cole Coybe trying to see if they can latch on to that draft as well. If they are able to, that would be 15 drivers that would be up in the lead pack once everything meshes back together. Wes McCoy had led 20 laps prior to that cycle of green flag pit stop, so right now he is in possession of the most laps led bonus point. However, with Skylar Taylor continuing to lead out in front, this will be his 12th lap led, so he's only 8 laps away from tying Wes McCoy for that bonus point. And right now I'm showing about lap 55 to 57 when drivers would have to make that final pit stop. So if Taylor leads up to that point, he would indeed bypass Wes McCoy for most laps led. Fastest lap of the race so far set tonight would be Sean Galligan, who is right now in the 11th position. 41.097, equating to 175.216 miles per hour. We're looking at second place with third place right behind him, Batson and Tellier. They're going to continue to battle for second. They just got around the lap machine of Jackson Haywood. They've got 3 more drivers to deal with up here before they get to Skylar Taylor. And Taylor is actually pulling away from that group that are obviously damaged and off the pace. Craig Batson trying to make quick work here of Jordan Anderson. I believe that bigger pack has just now caught the 93 as they all make their way to the inside. I'm looking at lap times here And last time by for Skylar Taylor, he ran a 42.810. Wes McCoy ran a 42.444. So there is 0.4 of a second gained right there, as he'll lose a spot to Juan Garcia, who will slide by for 4th place. Batson and Tellier still trying to get by some of these other slower cars of Anderson, Cam Wright Jr., and Chris Dollarton. After the cycle of pit stops, looks like we are going to have a few drivers that are going to lose the main pack. And those drivers are going to include Dave Smith, Roberto Crown Jr., Aubrey Powell, as well as Eli Bright, Michael Turner, Kyle Langland, Nathan Fogler. And then we saw Daniel Voiles will be the next driver that Skylar Taylor would encounter to try and put a lap down, currently the last car on the lead lap. Why is this important? Well, we talk about Jordan Anderson and Autumn Brooks. Anderson a lap down off the pace, Brooks out of the race. Well, if Aubrey Powell is currently down in 18th, if David Dixon is currently in 15th place, and if Michael Turner is not up here in the conversation at all for a top 10, top 5, Brooks and Anderson are right now looking like they could be okay to transfer into the playoffs. The gap from Brooks to Powell was 4 points. The gap from Anderson to Powell was 12 points. So right now, for Aubrey Powell, she would be running ahead of Autumn Brooks. If Skylar Taylor were to win, Taylor was already in the top 10 in points, so that would not shift the wild card cut line. The only driver right now I think that Autumn Brooks would have to worry about is I think Anderson would be in a wild card spot. The only driver that Autumn Brooks would have to worry about right now would be David Dixon. But Dixon was 25 points behind Brooks, so Dixon would have to finish this race inside of the top 5, maybe more specifically the top 3. The other thing that Autumn Brooks would have to worry about would be some of these drivers here like a Craig Batson or a Juan Garcia. If they win, then I think Autumn Brooks is out. So Skylar Taylor, right now a fellow Mazda, is Autumn Brooks' best friend to get into the postseason. As Taylor now looks in the rearview mirror, and there's a bunch of company. Batson, Garcia, Tellier have all made their way through that slower traffic. That gap that Taylor was enjoying has evaporated, and now Skylar Taylor's going to have to start playing some defense here as we are about, maybe 6-7 laps away from that final pit stop? That is indeed if 20 laps was the furthest they could go. They all came to pit road back around lap 36 to 37. So they should be about 3-4 laps shy of the finish, and for Skylar Taylor, I think he could be as much as 6-7 laps shy of the checkered flag. I would not be surprised if he's one of the first drivers to dip onto pit road, as he had very little draft so far here on this run. Juan Garcia's got one of the fastest cars here, at least on this stint. He was able to get by Wes McCoy for 4th, made his way by Batson and Tellier for 3rd and 2nd, and now he is on the back bumper of Skylar Taylor for the top position as they approach the slower machine of Daniel Voiles. Wrapping the bottom here through 3 and 4, does not make up any ground, lost a little bit of time there, did Garcia. Who's made his way now up here into the 5th position. We talked about Tellier and Galligan and Kupski. They can win, but they won't get into the playoffs with the victory. That doesn't matter to them. A checkered flag is a checkered flag, and for those drivers that are looking for their first one on the season, Kupski has now worked his way into the 5th position. At this point, it does not look like Adrenaline Motorsports is going to have an entry in the playoffs this season, as now 3 wide around the slower machine of Voiles. Garcia trying to use that slower car as a pick. He is clear. He will move up in front of Skylar Taylor. But now he's going to get held up behind Voiles. Here comes Taylor back to the inside. Tellier maybe looking to get to the right rear quarter panel. Brody Kupski with a big run. He'll dive it to the inside 3 wide. As contact made between Voiles and Taylor. Taylor's going to have the spot. He'll clear off of 2. Puts Voiles in the rearview mirror. And now Garcia, Tellier, and company will look to do the same. Going to be 8 laps to go as way up the track went the 91 of Craig Batson. Going into turn 3, that's going to lose him a couple of spots as Kupski moves by for P4. Here comes Cody Majoric looking for 5th. And how about Colin Grace? Right now in the 7th position. Cam Wright Jr.'s back in 26. Roberto Crown Jr.'s been able to work his way up to 16th. That's 9 positions difference between Roberto and Colin, which right now would still have Roberto Crown Jr. as the overall points leader. Lead change, Juan Garcia to the point. And that's bad news for Autumn Brooks or Jordan Anderson, depending on who is on the hot seat right now to get eliminated. Garcia looking for his 2nd win in the season to lock himself into a postseason berth. Was 12 points behind Skylar Taylor for the final wild card spot. Taylor is the one battling alongside of him, so I don't think that Juan would be able to point his way up into a wild card spot right now. Taylor trying to get the race lead back, could not do it, and that 27 of Colin Grace is moving up here. Trying to figure out here mathematically for Colin Grace, if Roberto Crown Jr. is right now in 16th and cannot get any higher, if Colin Grace wins this event, that's 15 points difference plus 5 points for winning the race. I believe that Colin Grace needs to win and needs Roberto Crown Jr. to lose a couple of spots, which he has done. He's actually dropped to 19th. Colin Grace cannot mathematically. The furthest that, I believe that the furthest that Roberto Crown Jr. can finish as far as the drivers on the lead lap would be 20 seconds, which means that Colin Grace would have to win. And Colin Grace, at this scenario, would have to win and have Roberto Crown Jr. finish no better than 17th. So it all banks on the 27 going to victory lane, which is still possible. Colin did get kicked up to the outside line, and then last time by, I believe, crossed in the 5th or 6th position. As Taylor continues to hound Juan Garcia for the top position, but remember, pit road still has another pivotal part to play here, as we should be seeing drivers coming to pit road here in this next lap or two, right in the closing stages, unless somebody's going to be a gambler and stay out. None of our front runners coming in yet. Does someone have the fuel to make it? There was the 89 on just coming off pit road of Jordan Anderson. Remember, Anderson and Cam Wright Jr. were some of the first ones to pit lane. So we may see some drivers pitting this time by. I would be shocked if Skylar Taylor is not one of those drivers. Oh, I just saw some flames coming out of the tailpipes of the 29. Nope, not getting ready to slow, not coming to pit road. David Dixon was one of the earlier ones along with Eli Bright, but he stays out an extra lap. Crossing the line for 3 laps to go here at Auto Club. Side by side for the lead, Taylor and Garcia. Craig Batson trying to close up on this. As look at the run through the center of the corner that Garcia was able to get. Great momentum down the back. We saw drivers be able to all merge up together here in a 15-car pack. We will not have time for that here after the pit stop. It's going to be all about track position, which is why you're seeing drivers battling tooth and nail for even 1 or 2 positions here. I believe David Dixon came to pit road. So too did Nathan Stapleton. I couldn't tell who that third car was. Here comes some more. Powell, Crown Jr., Eli Bright, Dave Smith, Chris Dollerton, lap machine, as well as another lap machine, and Daniel Voiles were on pit road. 2 laps to go. There is a scenario maybe where somebody will gamble. Somebody will risk it and stay out. Who will that driver be? Do we see anybody have to dive to pit road here this time? We're coming around to the whites. Garcia does not look like he's going to pit. Nor does Kobe. Craig Batson couldn't make it though. White flag in the air. 1 lap to go. Cole Koibe with a last-ditch effort here. If Garcia wins, he's in the playoffs. If Koibe wins, he's in the playoffs. Can he clear Garcia? Not quite. Garcia gonna battle back. Down the back straightaway. Traffic ahead. Drivers coming off of pit road. Could offer a tow to somebody here through 3 and 4. Koibe drives it in deep. Garcia gonna battle back to the outside. This is for a shot to battle for a championship. Off of turn 4. Outside line momentum. Juan Garcia will have enough fuel to go the distance. Juan Garcia has won his way into the postseason. His second checkered flag here in Season 2. This will at least project him up into a high-seeded wildcard spot. The mathematics are there, though, where he could have pointed his way into the top 7. And if that is the case, that will muddy the waters for the one-time winners as to who is getting in and who is not. More drivers that could not make it on fuel. They are going to cross the stripe here. Our standings should momentarily be official. One thing we know, Juan Garcia, after getting a victory at Charlotte, middle portion of the season, with this second victory, he, much like Cam Wright Jr. and Roberto Crown Jr., is locked into the postseason. The question is, though, who else would join them? Colin Grace, we can say for absolute certainty, will be in the playoffs. Came into this race 3rd in points, finishes 3rd here tonight. I do not believe, however, as Roberto Crown Jr. finished in 18th, so that is 15 points difference. I believe Roberto Crown Jr. by 6 points is going to hang on to the regular season championship. So 15 bonus points on top of the 10 he'll get for his 2 victories will be headed in the direction of driver 18. Cam Wright Jr., we already documented, despite the issue tonight, damaged off the pace, off the lead lap 26th. His 2 wins will garner him a playoff spot, and I believe mathematically he could not fall out of the top 7 in the standings, so he won't fall into a wild card position. He will point his way in. Colin Grace locks in. What about Kyle Langland? 22nd. Langland came into this 4th in points. He was 18 points ahead of the cut line. I believe Langland is safe. I believe Langland will point his way in. Eli Bright is going to be a question mark. We saw him have to pit late in that one. He'll finish in 19th. His gap was 13 points. Ooh. I don't know. I don't know if Eli Bright had enough of a cushion for a finish outside the top 15 to get him into a points-paying playoff spot. And remember, Eli Bright does not have a win to fall back on. The good news, I guess, for Eli Bright is that Jordan Anderson did not finish well. Autumn Brooks finished out of the race. Aubrey Powell only finished a couple of positions ahead of him. So those are some drivers that he's able to take a little bit of an advantage of. However, Cody Majorek finished in 7th. Skylar Taylor finished in 4th. Ooh, it's going to be really close there if you're Eli Bright. Anderson, Autumn Brooks, I don't know. for those two drivers, I don't know. Jury's out whether or not they're going to get in. I feel like they're not going to get in top 7 in the standings. I feel like they'd be falling down into a wild card spot if indeed they make it in. But with Majorek and Skylar Taylor within striking distance of being able to leapfrog both of those drivers to move up into the top 7, I don't know. Like we said, drivers they would have to worry about. Juan Garcia winning, a multi-time winner. That now shifts the cut line. Michael Turner did not really factor into this as he finished in the... where was he? He was 16th. David Dixon didn't really factor into this either as he brought it home in 15th place. Wes McCoy up front for 20 laps. Did not get that bonus point for most laps led. Skylar Taylor got it by 1 lap, 21 laps led for the 29 car. But McCoy was more in a must-win situation than anything. 8th place. I don't think that's enough to be able to leapfrog Brooks or Anderson. And Nathan Stapleton was must-win. Dave Smith was must-win. Same for Cole Koibe, who gave it a heck of a shot there in the closing stages. Right now, if I am to make a projection of who I think is in, who I think is out, this is, again, just projections. I don't know this for absolute certain, but I think Roberto Crown Jr., Cam Wright Jr., Colin Grace, I believe they're safe. I believe Langland is in. I believe that, obviously, Juan Garcia is in. I think Majorek is safe. I think Skylar Taylor is safe. Aubrey Powell, I think, could be safe with her victory, and then it comes down to Anderson and Brooks, I think, potentially for the final spot, dependent on Eli Bright. I think Eli could be safe as well, but we'll have to wait and see on that. But I think that if I'm right about this, I think the cut line has Anderson in and Autumn Brooks just out. Again, not confirmed. I'm going off of eyeballing it, trying to do the math in my head. We will get the official results calculated, and we will show you the points in just a moment as to who is in and who is out. But right now, my gut feeling with doing the quick math in my head shows the 89 is in the final wild card spot potentially, and Autumn Brooks could be the first driver out. So we'll have to wait and see. We'll have to wait and see for the confirmation here. Drivers we do know for certain that are going playoff racing: Roberto Crown Jr., Cam Wright Jr., Colin Grace, and Juan Garcia. We can give you at least 4 of the 10 drivers that are going to be in the hunt. Everybody else, it's question marks, and it depends on all the finishing results, the points garnered, and how much of a cushion drivers had coming in. But what a race here tonight. Let's show you the rest of the finishing results. We haven't done that here, as we had 3 drivers that did not reach the conclusion: Brooks, Fogelman, and Mason. We only had 16 drivers finish on the lead lap and have our 3rd different multi-time winner go to victory lane. The last 2 multi-time winners have now been out of the Trackhouse stables, with Roberto Crown Jr. last time out at Hanford, and now Juan Garcia. Hope you guys enjoyed this race here tonight. I'll tell you what, with what we saw this evening, we're in for a heck of a battle. It's going to be even more convoluted in drivers battling for top 10 in points and those 6 wildcard spots in tomorrow afternoon's Cup Series race here from Auto Club. You're not going to want to miss it. That will be at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and we will find out finally who the playoff driver is going to be on both the Lights and the Cup Series side. I'm not going to keep you guys waiting any longer. Thank you all for tuning into today's race here from Auto Club. If you enjoyed it, be sure to give this video a like, subscribe, become part of the crew today. We showed your full finish results. It is now time to show you your overall point standings. The drivers highlighted in yellow, those are going to be your 10 drivers to battle for the championship here this season. They kick off their playoffs at Road America, which will be in a couple of weeks' time. We hope to see you for that. We'll see you tomorrow afternoon for the Cup Series race here from Auto Club. Until then, though, I've been Seth Cole, and you've been watching another broadcast courtesy of NNSCRA TV, Offline Racing at its best.
following has been a presentation of NNSCRA TV for the private use of our audience. Any other use of this telecast or any pictures, descriptions, or accounts of the game without the consent of the NNSCRA is prohibited. NNSCRA would like to thank all of our loyal fans, and we hope you enjoyed today's broadcast.